in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a cursed amethyst that was actually stolen in the 1800s. And since then, any owner who has had it or worn it or just had it in their house in general, they have received extremely bad luck. And so I cannot wait to tell you guys about this very eerie and creepy history. Ever since it was stolen out of India during the rebellion of 1857, this amethyst has brought its owners nothing but despair and devastation. Now, this has a few different names that it's known for. The first is the cursed amethyst. It's also called the gem of sorrow. And then there's the Delhi purple sapphire. And the stone now resides in the vault of the Natural History Museum in London. A man named Colonel W. Ferris is said to have brought the amethyst to England after it was stolen out of the temple of Indra in Kanpur. Yet the beautiful violet stone's sinister nature was soon manifested when he lost just about everything that he owned, and his health deteriorated very quickly. So after owning this stone, things around him were just starting to go very, very wrong. And not just with his physical belongings, with his actual health. And the same misery actually happened to his son who inherited the stone. So he gave it to his friend who ended up dying not soon after having it. And then by 1890, the gem had come into the possession of Edward Heron Allen. Edward was one of the most respected scholars of his time. He was a polymath, writer, and scientist. And he didn't believe in any weird superstition or curse. He thought of himself as such a rational man. Nothing could ever be haunted or possessed. So in 1890, he agreed to accept this stone from the son who had it previously. But soon after owning this stone, as you can imagine, things in his life began going very wrong. So this rational scientist abandoned all reason and began to attribute a series of unfortunate events to the curse of the stone. So he wanted to neutralize this power that was residing in the stone. So he had it bound with a silver ring that was fashioned as this double-headed snake. He thought that maybe turning it into a different sort of jewelry piece, the stone would no longer have this energy over his life. But he was wrong. This apparition, this ghost, began to haunt this man after he turned the stone into a ring. This ghost would appear all through his house, in the study of his home. It was like it was searching desperately for the sapphire. In 1902, Edward lent this ring to a friend, and his friend had all of this unlucky things happening in his life. And when it was returned to Edward, the misfortunes followed him there as well. So he was just passing it back and forth to people, but it always ended up back at his house. In frustration, he cast the stone into the Regent's Canal, and Edward must have believed that he was rid of the curse once and for all, but unfortunately, this sapphire had other ideas. Some months later, the ring was dredged from the canal and taken to a local jeweler, and the jeweler immediately recognized the stone as the one he had mounted on a ring for Edward. So this jeweler thought he was performing this kindness and ended up returning the ring to Edward, and this poor man just wanted it gone, but it kept coming back. Then one day soon after, another one of his friends asked to borrow the ring, so he gave it to them. He was like, take it, borrow it for as long as you need to. But his friend was actually a professional singer, and they began wearing it for performances, and one day they just were not able to sing anymore. The ring took the voice from this beautiful singer, and even after giving the ring back to Edward, they were never able to sing again. Well, Edward was so tired of this, so he packed the Delhi sapphire into 7 boxes filled with charms. He then deposited it in the safe of his bank with instructions for it to not be opened until after his death. So he literally put the ring into a box, put another box around it, then another box. He did this 7 times and then put it into a safe. 3 years after his death in 1943, as he'd instructed, his daughter unlocked the amethyst and gave it to the museum. And this ring was accompanied by her father's letter of warning warning, and there's a part in his letter that says, "Whoever shall then open it shall first read out this warning, and then do as he pleases with the jewel. My advice to him or her is to cast it into the sea." And this letter is actually really long, so I wasn't able to read it in this video today, but it basically just recounts his entire life of having this jewel and how all these bad things were happening to him. The amethyst went on display in the Natural History Museum in 2007, and some believe that this curse has yet to fade and that this jewel is still extremely powerful. And actually, there's this creepy story about the man who was transporting this jewel to the museum. In his words, he said, "We drove through the most amazing storm we'd ever witnessed. Lightning was flashing on both sides of the car, and my wife was shouting at me, 'Throw that damn jewel away, you shouldn't have brought it.'" So while he was bringing it to the museum, he went through this horrendous, awful storm, and like lightning was striking around his car. That is crazy. And anytime he's had to go and move the jewel, he's gotten violently ill. So he says it's not a coincidence, and he believes this is still extremely powerful. So I don't even know if I would want to go to this museum to see this jewel. It freaks me out that much. In today's video, we're talking about a very, very strange tradition from the Victorian era. It was where if you loved someone, you would give them a necklace or a jewelry piece with your eye inside of it. This eye would be painted, sketched, it could be a photograph. As you can see, I'm currently wearing one. I was so inspired by the topic of today's video that I decided to make a bunch of them myself. For centuries, lover's eye jewelry was a romantic yet eerie tradition. It all began back in 1785 when a woman named Maria Ann Fitzherbert received a very unusual jewel from her lover. Now, her lover was Prince George of Wales, and he had commissioned a miniature painting of his eye to give to her to keep. And this was the first time this had ever been done. Now, for reasons I don't have a ton of time to get into right now, they were not allowed to be married, so they couldn't be together even though they loved each other so much. So Maria was so happy to have this little painting of his eye with her all the time, and so she ended up giving George a painting of her own eye for him to keep. So they like swapped eye paintings. She gave him a painting of her own eye encased in a locket for him to gaze at and to watch over him in the life they were forced to live apart. It's actually a really sad story, and after this, lover's eye jewelry became very, very popular. They were compelling pieces of wearable art that suggested an intimate relationship between two people, since the identity of the loved one is not revealed. So a lot of women, when they had a secret lover, or maybe they had a boyfriend they hadn't told their friends or family about yet, they would wear their eye on a necklace, and so people wouldn't know who it was they were dating. Like, people could look at the eye on a woman's necklace and start to guess, like, is it Billy? Is it Tommy? Is it Jeremy? And the person doesn't have to tell because only they know, which I think is kind of cool. And the whole idea is that the person you love is always watching you, which can definitely sound a little creepy, but I also can see how that's maybe romantic as well. Like, your boyfriend or girlfriend is always with you, even though they're not physically there. And although the eyes were traditionally worn by lovers, over the years that changed, and mothers began buying them for daughters, or daughters for mothers, or sisters and close friends for each other. It began to just represent someone you loved in general. It didn't have to be romantic, whether that was a friend or family or your lover. Most lovers' eyes are painted on ivory or vellum, set in yellow gold pins, pendants, or lockets, and surrounded by pearls, diamonds, or semi-precious stones. I mean, these could get very elaborate, and they were very, very beautiful. The lockets also have hinged glass compartments in the back that open to hold a lock of hair. So not only would you sometimes have the eye of someone you loved, but you can take pieces of their hair and put it in the jewelry as well. It had like a little pocket. Don't worry, the ones that I made do not have a hair pocket. These vintage necklaces are still being sold to people today, even though the buyer doesn't know who the eye belongs to. So people have found like vintage versions of these necklaces and are just like reselling them, buying them. So you could have like Billy's eye from 1802. The ones I made are from scratch. There is a quote about these necklaces that I found interesting. It says, "We feel this gaze resting upon us. We feel this connection with this subject that you have never met. You have have the feeling that you know this person just a little bit. So yeah, that's all about the lover's eye jewelry. I'm so fascinated by this, and there are so many different love trinkets from the Victorian era that are bizarre but interesting. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about cursed jewelry. That's why I chose an outfit to wear jewelry with. This is not cursed though, don't worry. I gotta tell you guys, doing research for this video was so scary because of how dark it is, and because these are true stories. These aren't creepypastas. These aren't legends or ghost stories. These are things that happened to real people in real life. We're talking about 3 different necklaces, and what's crazy is that all of these necklaces are diamonds. So we're gonna talk about the Hope Diamond. According to the legend, a curse befell this large blue diamond when it was stolen from an idol in India. The curse gives bad luck and death, not only to the owner of the diamond, but for all who touches it. So if you own this diamond, you are done for. And even if you touch it, you will get extreme bad luck. So we're gonna go through the list of everybody who owned this necklace and what happened to them. This is a warning, this video gets very dark and sad. Whether or not you believe in the curse, the Hope Diamond has intrigued people for centuries. Its perfect quality, its large size, and its rare color makes it strikingly unique and beautiful. Get ready for the most mind-blowing and dark sequence of events. On September 11th, 1792, the Hope Diamond was stolen by a Frenchman named Jean-Baptiste. So he stole this diamond, took it for himself, thinking everything would be okay. But then he came down with a raging fever. He eventually died, and his body was eaten by wolves. So, worst death ever? Then, the diamond moved on to King Louis XIV. After owning this diamond for a little while, the king died of something called gangrene, which is something usually caused by a bacteria infection in your body. And back then, when medicine was pretty much terrible, it was horrible to come down with something like that. So he died, and all of his children died, except for one. That one got away and was fine. Then, there was a rumor that Marie Antoinette wore it for a short period of time. And we all know what happened to Marie Antoinette. She was beheaded. That's the story and the rumor anyway. There's no actual photograph or painting of her actually wearing the necklace. Then, Marie Louise, who was Marie Antoinette's best friend, wore the necklace, and soon after, she was killed by a mob of people in the town. Then there was a man named Willem Falls. He was a Dutch jeweler who recut the diamond into a slightly different shape. So he was just an innocent jeweler, just reshaping the diamond, trying to make it look nicer. He had no idea of the diamond's history, and soon after touching it and changing it, his son murdered him. Yeah. Then the diamond went to Evelyn Walsh McLean. She was a very rich and spoiled woman who lived a very charmed life until she bought the Hope Diamond. She happily wore this diamond around everywhere, wanted to show it off. Sometimes she would even attach the diamond to her dog's collar so her dog can walk around with the diamond as well. She was a bit obsessive, you could say. But wearing this diamond came with a very steep price. First, her mother-in-law died. Then her son died at the age of 9. Then her husband left her for another woman, and then he died in a mental hospital later on. And then her daughter died of a drug overdose at only 25 years old. So everyone around her basically perished, and people think it was because of the diamond. Evelyn's surviving kids sold the diamond to a man named Harry Winston. He kept this diamond for 9 years and then mysteriously sent it away from his house. He didn't want to have it anymore, didn't say why. So he decided to mail this necklace to a museum. He didn't want any money for it. In fact, it only cost him $2.44 to send this diamond away. Now, the mailman man, his name was James Todd, the mailman that had to take this jewel to the museum, apparently later on had his leg crushed in a truck accident, and then his house burnt down. On November 10th, 1958, the Hope Diamond was officially displayed at the museum, and almost immediately, the Great Blue Stone became its premier attraction, and that's where it has been ever since. So it's remained there, and you just stay far away. The next necklace is called the Black Orlov Diamond. The stone was allegedly stolen from one of the eyes in a statue in India, which would explain the curse and the many tragedies to follow from the owners of this black diamond. The first owner was a man named J.W. Paris. He owned the diamond for a little while and then fell off a skyscraper in New York City. The next owners were two Russian princesses, Nadia Orlov and Leonila Beryatinsky, who both fell off buildings in Rome. So there's a pattern with people falling off buildings while owning this necklace. People started to realize that this necklace was probably cursed, so they decided to try and break the curse. They had a jeweler cut the diamond into different smaller pieces. This jeweler said that by breaking the diamond up, it would definitely break the curse. And maybe it did, because since it was broken up, no one has fallen off buildings. No one had heard anything about the diamond until 2006. Felicity Huffman was supposed to wear the necklace at the 2006 Academy Awards, but she mysteriously decided against it very last minute. Smart move, I would say. And let's move on to the very last jewel. Oh, this one actually isn't a necklace, it's just a diamond. It is called the Koh-i-Noor diamond. Hope I'm saying that correctly. This 186 carat diamond can be seen in the Tower of London on display as a massive part of the crown jewels. It's crazy because I was there in 2014 and I had no idea this diamond had a curse to it. The diamond was taken from India in 1850 and given to the British royal family. I see this pattern here of people stealing diamonds from India. Maybe don't do that. Today, it's currently set into the crown of Queen Elizabeth, which is one of the crowns on display. What's very strange about this curse is that it only affects the men who wear it. Women are completely safe. Every man who has worn the stone has lost his throne. So that one is a very strange curse. There's no death involved, but men have lost their throne by wearing it. And as you can tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be talking about the dark truth of your birthstone. Yes, you sitting right there on your couch, on your bed, on the toilet. We have done eye color on this channel. We have done hair color. I think we've done something else. And now we're doing birthstones. Birthstones are gems that are associated with a birth month. Each stone has a unique meaning and significance. But not everyone knows the strange legends and history that surround them. So before we get started, please comment down below what your birthstone is, and if you have no idea what it is, you're about to find out. Originally, birthstones are related to the 12 gemstones appearing on the breastplate of the high priest of the Israelites, described in the book of Exodus. But the tradition of wearing only one stone for your month of birth did not begin until the 16th century. Now, people believe that birthstones can provide good luck, protection, health, even powers, so I am here to tell you all of the very strange facts. Now, keep in mind, these were just things that people thought hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So I'm telling this to you for historical purposes, but I personally don't really believe that stones have any power or good or bad luck. To me, they are just beautiful works of art in nature, but I know that every single person has different thoughts about that, and that's totally okay. All right, so let's start with the month of January, which is garnet. Now, in modern day, it is said that garnet represents protection, but in history, this stone was thought to keep the wearer safe safe during travel. Now, the word garnet is derived from a term that means seed because the gem resembles the color and shape of a pomegranate seed. Now, there's a myth that suggests that the garnet originated with Persephone, the Greek goddess of sunshine. Persephone was captured by Hades, the god of the underworld, and before Hades released Persephone, he really wanted to guarantee her return. So he gave her some pomegranate seeds. They also thought that when a garnet is stolen, it is said to bring terrible bad luck to the thief until it is returned. Until it is returned to its rightful owner. Or they say that if your stone starts to lose its bright color, it means that danger and disaster is about to occur, so be careful. All right, let's move on to February, which is amethyst. And if you know me, you know that's my birth month. And I love this color so much, purple. Now, in modern day, amethyst symbolizes wisdom because I'm just so smart, aren't I? But ancient Greeks thought that amethyst guarded against intoxication. And in fact, the word amethyst comes from amethystos, a Greek word meaning sober. And at one time, only royalty was allowed to wear them. I wasn't able to find out why this was, but I do know the color purple has always represented royalty for some reason. All right, let's move on to March, which is aquamarine. And in modern day, it is said to represent serenity. Historically, it was thought to cure heart, liver, and stomach diseases. All one had to do was drink the water in which the gem had been soaking. It was also said to reverse the effects of someone that was poisoned. Early sailors also believed that aquamarine etched with the likeness of the sea god Neptune protected them against ocean dangers. So I guess those were all good things. Couldn't find anything bad about that one. Then we've got April, which is a diamond. And in modern day, it is said to symbolize strength. This stone was once thought to bring courage. In Sanskrit, the diamond is called Vajra, which also means lightning. And at one time, it was even thought that if you took a diamond into bed with you, it would cure your illness. Then we have May, which is emerald. And honestly, this is like my favorite stone to look at. It is so beautiful. I love green. So if this is your birth month, I'm kind of jealous of you. Now, in modern day, it is said to symbolize hope. Emerald was one of Cleopatra's favorite gems, and historically, it was associated with fertility, rebirth, and love. Thousands of years ago, the ancient Egyptians mined the earth, suffering through extreme conditions to find the prized green emerald. Cleopatra was so taken with these stones that she claimed the mines for herself. In fact, she was known for wearing lots of huge emerald jewelry, and she even gave emeralds carved with her portrait to her important visitors. Ancient Romans even went as far as to dedicate this stone to Venus, who was the goddess of love and beauty. It has been claimed that holding an emerald under one's tongue grants the ability to summon evil spirits. And apparently you should never gift someone an emerald on a Monday? Don't know why. Never explained that. Then we have June, and there's actually 3 different stones that go with June, so I guess pick one. But there's pearl, alexandrite, and moonstone. And we're going to talk about pearl because that seems to be the most popular choice for this month. And in modern day, the pearl is said to symbolize purity. The ancient Greeks believed that pearls were the hardened tears of joy from Aphrodite, the goddess of love. And in ancient Japan, pearls were believed to be the tears of mermaids. However, some believe that they should not be given to a bride on her wedding day, as they can bring sadness or tears to her marriage. Then we have July, which is a ruby, and in modern day it is said to symbolize vitality. Ruby was regarded by ancient Hindus as the king of gems. It was believed to protect its wearer from evil, and ancient Burmese soldiers went so far as to insert rubies under their skin to protect them from battle. Rubies were also historically associated with the planet Mars, with some people even believing that rubies are actually sparks struck from the planet that fell to Earth. And it says their fire will last until the world itself grows cold. Whatever that means, I guess they will last until the ends of Earth. Another belief is that a ruby can warn of impending danger. So when something bad is going to happen, apparently they will darken and they will lighten again once that danger has passed. Interesting. Then we have August, which is peridot, and in modern day this is said to symbolize beauty. It is sometimes called the evening emerald for its light green color. It was once believed that the green peridot crystals found in volcanic ashes were the tears of the volcano goddess Pele, and when set in gold, this gem was said to protect the wearer from nightmares. Then we have September, which is sapphire. I also love the color of this stone as well. In modern day, this is said to represent truth. It was once thought thought to guard against evil and poisoning, and it was believed that a venomous snake would die if placed in a vessel made of sapphire. Traditionally, it was also a favorite stone of priests and kings. It is also said that if a sapphire doesn't suit a person, it will bring them immense bad luck and bad fortune. So if this stone doesn't look good on you, you're in for bad luck. What the heck? Then we have October, which is opal, and some people also say the stone could be tourmaline. In modern day, this is said to represent confidence. Now, this word actually comes from the Latin word opalus, meaning precious jewel. Necklaces and crowns with opals set in them were worn to repel evil and to protect eyesight. Opals were greatly valued by ancient monarchs for their protective powers, and it was also ingested in ground up powder to protect against nightmares. So when people were having bad dreams, they were like, here, eat some rocks. I swear it tastes good. Like, forget nightmares. I would be up at night from a bellyache from that. In the late 19th century, Alfonso XII, King of Spain, experienced a spate of deaths in his family. This true story is so crazy to me. So it says his wife, grandmother, sister, and sister-in-law all died after receiving an opal ring. And what's so sad is that this opal ring was actually a gift from him, and each received this opal ring after the previous family member died. So basically everyone who got this died randomly. And then finally he suffered the same fate after wearing the ring himself. So people began to believe that opals brought death, which is terrible. Then we have November, which is topaz or citrine, and in modern day it is said to represent joy. During the Romantic period and turn of the century Europe, citrine became more popular for the way it visually enhances gold jewelry. Citrine, like all forms of quartz, was believed to have magical powers and was worn as protection against evil and snake venom poisoning. I also wasn't able to find much more about this one or anything bad, so I guess that's a good thing too. And then lastly we have December, which was turquoise, and this one is said to symbolize friendship. Since about 6000 BC, when it was first mined by the Egyptians, turquoise has been one of the most valuable opaque minerals in the jewelry business. Native Americans and Persians also valued it for its decorative and ornamental beauty. The Navajo believe that turquoise is a part of the sky that fell to earth, and turquoise rings in particular are thought to keep away evil spirits. I see a lot of common themes here with stones. Either they prevent nightmares, they protect you from evil spirits, they have healing properties, heal you from poison. A lot of this is very similar. So don't forget to comment down below which birthstone is yours. And in today's video, we're gonna be talking about friendship bracelets. I feel like we all owned at least one friendship bracelet in our life. And yes, believe it or not, there are some very creepy facts that have to do with them. I was able to find a couple really disturbing and sad stories, so I just want to prepare you beforehand. This video gets a little bit dark and sad. And you're probably like, friendship bracelets and sadness together? Yeah. It's crazy. I also feel like I'm blending into this background behind me. Like, I'm pink, the pink palace is pink. I've got the sun and moon, they love each other. Anyways though, let's jump right into this video and talk about the history behind friendship bracelets. A friendship bracelet is a decorative bracelet given by one person to another as a symbol of friendship. Friendship bracelets are often handmade, usually out of some type of thread. Some people also say that you must make a wish before you tie the bracelet onto your hand, and the bracelet should be worn until it is totally worn out and falls off by itself to honor the hard work and love put into making it. And apparently the moment it falls off your wrist is the moment the wish comes true. There are various styles and patterns, but most are based on the same simple half-stitch knot. They resemble a friendship that is strong and everlasting. Now, friendship bracelets first became popular in the United States back in the 1970s. And now, obviously, they are popular all around the world. Now, back when I was in elementary school, everybody had a friendship bracelet. People were like obsessed with them, and it got to a point where if you didn't have a friendship bracelet, it just meant you didn't have any friends. Like, that's what people would say. It was horrible. Sometimes I would stay up all night trying to figure out how to make the coolest pattern. It was just a big deal back then. I don't really know if it is still today, but it was back then. I actually don't think I've seen anyone wearing a friendship bracelet in such a long time, so if you are wearing one right now, please comment down below. I remember some kids at school would even make businesses out of it. Like they would make a whole bunch and then sell them for $2 at recess. They had a business. I remember this one time my sister and I made bracelets for each other, and we put these letter beads on them that spelled out sissy, which to us was like the short form of sister. It was kind of like a cute way of saying sister, sissy. But I didn't know that sissy had another meaning, because if you look it up online, the definition of sissy is wimpy or cowardly. So I remember getting bullied for wearing this bracelet, and they would come up to me and be like,
"What, are you a sissy? Are you a little sissy?"
And I was thinking like, yeah, I'm a sister. And I didn't understand there was like two meanings. It's kind of sad. All right, so let's get into the creepier and sadder side of friendship bracelets. The first story I'm gonna tell you is very sad and not funny at all. So I just want to prepare you before we move on. This is a This is a story about two very close friends named Anna and Victoria. They basically grew up together, and in the second grade, they made each other friendship bracelets and said they could never break as long as their friendship was alive. So basically, they believed these bracelets to be indestructible as long as they were alive and together. And that definitely was the case, because in the 5th grade, their bracelets were still intact and looked good as new. They had survived laundry machines, the beach, jungle gyms, literally everything these bracelets have gone through. Well, one day they were on a school trip in the forest. The kids were learning about how maple syrup is made, and while the guide was demonstrating how the spout coming out of the trees work, Anna noticed that Victoria was missing from the group. Well, long story short, the staff and teachers looked everywhere in the forest and couldn't find her. It was a very large forest, and their search had no luck, and Anna had to go back home without her best friend. Weeks went by and there was still no sign of Victoria. But Anna's friendship bracelet was still unbroken, so she told everyone that Victoria must have been okay. She just knew in her heart that Victoria must have been out there somewhere still alive, because her friendship bracelet was still okay. She relied on this bracelet so much. But one day, 6 months later, Anna was sitting eating cereal and noticed there was a giant tear in her bracelet, and when she went to touch it, it fell right off her wrist. And in that moment, she knew that she most likely wouldn't be seeing her best friend ever again. The bracelet breaking sort of symbolized that Victoria hadn't made it, because they promised each other as long as they were both around, the bracelet would be okay. The police found Victoria in the woods the same day the bracelet broke, and no, she hadn't made it out. So it's super sad, because obviously Victoria passed away and Anna just knew it. And Anna had a dream that night of her friend standing there in her room holding the two broken bracelets in her hands and saying, "Thank you for everything." So that's how the story ends, and it's so sad. I was reading this and I was like, are you joking me right now? Because I've never attributed anything sad with a friendship bracelet. So that was the more sad story, and now we're gonna move into the creepier story. This one is called the light up bracelet. So there was a similar story about these two best friends named Maria and Tanya, and they both wore these light up friendship bracelets to symbolize their relationship as friends. The way they worked is that whenever they were near each other or in close proximity, the bracelets would light up. And it kind of reminds me of those friendship lamps. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those, but if you have a friend that moved away, or if you're in a long distance relationship, you put these in your room, and whenever the other person touches their lamp, yours will light up. It's supposed to be a comforting feeling knowing that the other person is thinking of you. So both your lamps will light up and it will symbolize I miss you. So these glowing friendship bracelets worked in the same way, except they would light up when they were near each other. So it wasn't about distance, it was when they were really, really close, the bracelets would light up. Well, Maria was in a car accident and unfortunately passed away. And as sad as that is, things unfortunately got very creepy for Tanya after that. For months afterwards, Tanya swore she felt the presence of Maria in her room. She would be sleeping and suddenly would wake up to something rustling in her bedroom. And whenever she woke up from those noises, her bracelet would start glowing, which is so creepy because, like I said, the only time it glows is when her best friend is close to her. And her best friend passed away, so what the heck is happening? thing. She would call her parents into her bedroom, but as soon as they got there, the bracelet would stop glowing, so obviously they wouldn't believe her. So she decided to stop wearing it because it was scaring her so much. So she put it in a box in her closet. Every so often she would see a shadow or sense something in her room, and she would see this colorful glow under her closet door and knew it was the bracelet lighting up. So that's how the story ends, and it's kind of like she's almost haunted by her best friend and the bracelet lets her know when her spirit is in the room. It's like also a very sad story, but also like no one really wants to be in that situation. And the last story I'm gonna tell you guys is called the butterfly bracelet, and it's actually a story that happened to me in real life. So this happened to me back in 2015. It was when I had my very first YouTube meet and greet ever. It was when I hit 150,000 subscribers, I believe. And I think I sold about 80 tickets, so it wasn't like a ton, but it honestly meant so much to me in that moment. I just couldn't believe how many people showed up, and it was mostly like parents with their kids. Well, the meet and greet lasted for about 2 hours, and once we were all done and everyone had left, we started packing up. But then my dad walked up to me and he's like, "There's this strange lady who has been standing out in the hallway this whole entire time and hasn't come in." Which was odd because if she was there to meet me, she could have just come in to meet me, and if she was there to like pick up her kid or wait on her kid, everyone had left already. So it was just her there standing in the hallway. So my dad went out into the hallway to talk to her, and he was out there for about 10 minutes speaking with her. And when he came back into the room, he had this very strange look on his face, and I was like, "Dad, what happened? What did she say?" He told me that this lady was desperate to know these very odd things about me. Like she wanted to know the exact time I was born, what moon phase it was the night I was born, what the weather was like the night I was born, if the stars were visible, all these very strange, detailed questions about the night I was born. So my dad told her that he was obviously uncomfortable answering all of those questions. And when he asked her why she wanted to know those things, she just wouldn't tell him. And then she pulls out this old sort of rusted looking butterfly bracelet, and she told my dad to give it to me and that I was supposed to wear it every single day. And the weirdest thing was she didn't want to actually come in to see me. She just wanted to tell my dad those things and ask him those weird questions about me. Details about my birth. And to this day, I have no idea what the bracelet meant. I had no idea what the questions meant. So if anyone knows what she might have been doing, please comment down below. Was she trying to like curse me or something? It honestly was such an eerie encounter, and yeah, I just had to tell it. I think I might have told this story way back a few years ago on my channel, but yeah, pretty freaky. Hey guys, it's Jessii Vee, and I feel so sparkly today. Look at my elbows. Look at them. So as you can tell by the title of today's video, today we're going to be talking about mood rings. Now, about a week ago, I did the history of magic 8 balls, and you guys really seem to like that sort of thing. So I thought I would move on to mood rings. And although they don't predict your future, they do apparently predict your mood. So we're going to go into the history, the creepy facts, the creepy experiences. We're gonna get into all of it. By the way, we've all had one before, right? Like you guys must have owned a mood ring at one point, or at least like touched one before? I mean, even me as a 25-year-old adult, I'm still like fascinated by them. Anyways though, let's talk about the history. The mood ring was invented in 1975 by Joshua Reynolds, who took an incredibly simple product idea and turned it into a national craze. What's crazy is that they originally sold for $45 if you wanted it to be silver plated, and $250 if you wanted it to be gold plated. And now, in today's day, you can get them for like $1, $5, $10. They're super cheap now. I guess when they first came out into the public, they wanted to seem like this fancy, expensive, cool product, and then it was too much money. Millions of rings sold in just 3 months, coming to a total of 20 million in sales in its first year. So you could definitely say they were kind of popular. I mean, people even had mood wedding rings. Yeah, he came up with the idea idea after seeing a physician friend apply thermotropic tape to a kid's forehead to measure temperature. And yes, they used to do this. I don't know if they still do, but if you were sick and you felt like you had a fever, there was this time period where instead of like using a normal thermometer, they would like put something to your head and see what the color would show. So that was his inspiration for mood rings. The mood ring was one of the biggest fashion fads of the 1970s. Each mood ring contained a temperature-sensitive liquid crystal encased in quartz. As the body temperature of the wearer changed, the crystals would change colors. Each color the ring displayed supposedly corresponded to a different mood. So let's just briefly talk about what each color would mean. Amber meant nervous or unhappy. Green was like the average color that people would get. It was a pretty popular color. It meant calm, relaxed, average. Blue meant that your emotions were charged, active, deep thinking, intense. Violet or pink meant you're passionate, excited, very happy, or romantic. Red meant that you're angry or stressed. Black meant that you're tense or nervous. It also could have meant a broken crystal, which we'll talk about in a second. And gray meant strained, anxious, afraid, and exhausted. And apparently gray is the most rare color to get on a mood ring. And I mean, I had mood rings all throughout my childhood and I never got gray. I would usually get like pink and red and green. Now you're probably wondering, how accurate are these things really? And from a scientific perspective, the ring changes color based on your body temperature, which sometimes could indicate mood. It says, for example, if you're under stress, your body directs your blood towards your internal organs, which means less blood is reaching your finger. So that would change the color accordingly. Another example is that when you're excited, more blood will flow to your fingers because your heart is pumping, which would then in turn change the color of the ring. So it's really more about your body temperature than your mood, but I guess they could coincide in a way. It would also depend on where you are. Are you out in the winter cold? Are you out on a hot beach? And what a lot of people don't know is that mood rings can be completely destroyed if you put them underwater, which is something I wish I knew as a kid because, you know, kids are like curious. I remember I used to have them all the time and I would go and like wash my hands and see how the color would change. That's not good, that will destroy it. So basically, the inventor of the mood ring made an absolute fortune off of it, like millions and millions would sell each year. But what's funny is that after that whole craze was over, he went and invented the Thigh Master exercise machine. So it's a little bit different than a mood ring. And I mean, good for him. It seems like he's an awesome inventor. It's just funny how like mood ring, Thigh Master. It's just so different, you know? In 2004, a woman created a mood collar for pets intended to improve their emotional health. So she made this collar so you can tell like what your pet was thinking and feeling. They even have mood ring toilet seats now and a mood ring Xbox controller. So people really took this mood ring thing and put it on like every single item. So now here's the kind of weird fact that not a lot of people realized. Mood rings actually have a lifespan. They don't last forever, they die. Did you like, mood rings die. Apparently the heat sensitive crystals inside of the mood ring can only change color for a period of 2 years maximum. And once they couldn't change color anymore, they would just turn black. So basically, if your mood ring turns black, it either means that you're tense and anxious or it's dead. And people weren't prepared for this and it kind of freaked them out. I mean, imagine wearing it every single day and seeing it change to these beautiful bright colors depending on your mood. And then one day you wake up and it's just like black. I think I was dead or something. So now let's get into some creepier facts. Many people may not know that mood rings can be used for spirit communication. I don't know why every single thing seems to lead back to communicating with spirits, but that's just how it goes. I don't know why. Here we are yet again. So basically, the different colors that appear on your ring represents different answers. Because if you think about it, your ring changes depending on your energy, right? And spirits seem to be the know-it-alls of how to control energy. So some people will literally just sit down and be like, hey, if there's any spirit in the room, change my ring color to red. And if that happens, there's a spirit in the room. Some people will even tie their mood ring to a string and use it as a pendulum. A pendulum usually refers to any weighted object that can swing back and forth. These are usually used for paranormal reasons. So the psychic or medium would hold the string with the object on the bottom and would ask a question, and depending on which way the object swings, that's yes or no. So some paranormal investigators find it cool to have the yes or no on the pendulum, but also the color change. So the spirit can answer a question, but also show their emotion. It's a lot, you know. Other people will even go as far as casting a spell onto their mood ring, just to help the spirit communicate with the colors. There are even websites out there where you can buy a mood ring that already has a spell cast on it, so you don't have to do the work. And obviously, I would never encourage you guys to do these things. Please listen to me. I've said it a million times. It can be very dangerous to communicate with spirits. I'm just telling you guys the history and how things are used. I wanted to give examples of how mood rings have a darker side because you just wouldn't expect it, but like, don't do any of this stuff, please, okay? Let's talk about some pretty controversial mood ring recalls. There have been tons of dangerous recalls over the years, and it's because almost every year they are found to have toxic levels of lead. And I think this is because they've tried to make mood rings as cheap as possible to sell in places like dollar stores. So the cheaper the materials, the more lead you'll probably find in jewelry. And you know, kids, they like to put everything in their mouth, and it's just too toxic for their system. So for example, in 2004, 580,000 mood rings were recalled for toxic lead. And in 2005, 40,000 mood rings and mood necklaces called the love testers were also recalled. Those are just two examples. It happens all the time. I'm really hoping that now in 2019 they fix the problem. I hope so. To end this video, I'm going to be telling you guys a story about a haunted mood ring. This is not my story. This is an article I found online. It's from an anonymous author, so I don't know, it's kind of spooky. So it's about this girl who got a mood ring for her birthday back in 2006 when she was 11 years old. She would wear it absolutely everywhere because just like me, she was fascinated with the fact that it could turn colors throughout the day. One day she randomly decided to place this mood ring on the hand of one of her porcelain dolls in her bedroom. As soon as she put this ring on her doll, it instantly turned a bright red color, which as you guys saw would mean like anger and being tense. It's usually associated with like bad energy. So she took it off the doll's hand and immediately it turned back to like a nice green color. So she decided to put this ring on her other dolls just to see if maybe the red color was normal. But when she tested that theory, they all stayed green on her other dolls. But this one doll, it would turn red the second it was put on there. She was so afraid by this that she refused to keep this doll in her room any longer. And from that day forward, whenever she got a doll as a gift, she would first take her mood ring and put it onto the doll to make sure it was safe enough to be in her room. If it ever turned red, she did not want to keep the doll. So I guess technically the mood ring wasn't haunted, it was more like the doll that was haunted, but I don't know, guys. That is so creepy. Hey guys, it's Jessii Vee. I know I don't seem completely out there and crazy today because I am really freaked out. And you probably saw this title and thought, Jessii, I thought you weren't going to talk about anything weird you see in your P.O. box anymore. And I know I say that all the time. Every single time I show you guys something weird that I found in my P.O. box, I say at the end of the video, I'm not going to do these anymore. But what am I doing now? Another one. And that's because I couldn't not tell you guys this because it's very weird. I'm freaked out. I'm kind of upset at this person for sending me this. Actually, I'm very disappointed this person sent me this because I honestly don't need to have this stuff in my new house. I want to keep all the bad energy I've ever had in my old house. No offense, parents, but I want to keep it there. I don't want any bad energy or spirits or anything in this house, and this person may have just sent me some, so thank you, person. Basically, last night my boyfriend Ty was over and we decided that we would sit down at my new kitchen table in my new house and we would open all of my P.O. Box stuff that I haven't opened yet. And I love P.O. Box days because I just sit down and read all of your letters, and I open all the things you send me, and I just want to let you guys know, like I usually do, everything you ever send me, I read or I open, and I appreciate it so much. And actually, I'm filming in my new studio in my new house, and one side of the wall, like the whole entire wall, I'm just gonna put every single letter and piece of fan art or anything you've sent me, I'm gonna put it on that wall. It's gonna look so cool. So don't think that anything you've ever sent me is unappreciated. I really love it. So that's just like a little thing I wanted to say. But anyways, let's get back to this. Last night I opened this letter from this person, and the first thing I see come out is this little baggie, and inside this baggie is a broken earring. And because Ty likes to joke around a lot, he picked it up and he kind of laughed, and he was like, wow, all they sent you was a broken earring, sort of thing. And I looked at him and I was like, there might be a story behind it, because who would just send a broken earring, right? So he proceeded to read the note to me, and I'm just gonna read you guys what this says. Prepare yourselves, because when I heard this, I was so upset. So here it goes. Dear Jessii Vee, I'm Beth, I'm 13, and I'm from England. I've watched a few of your videos and I wonder if you could help me. At Christmas a few years ago, I got a voucher for Amazon, so I went online and got a fantastic pair of earrings that were reduced from 60 pounds to 5 pounds. I ordered them not knowing what they really are. Ever since I got them, weird things have been happening to me. I keep seeing stuff in the corner of my eye, and I always see someone behind me in the mirror. Wonderful. Also, lots of other strange events have happened. Now I only have one of the earrings as the other one broke. Only the other night I looked up volcanic rock earrings because I liked the color of my earrings and I wanted more. I was scrolling down images of them and I saw this website about a curse. The curse said that anyone who possesses any jewelry made of rock stolen from Pepe, the Hawaiian god of some sort who owned the volcanoes, you will be cursed until you return them. This panicked me, and now I don't know what to do as my family cannot afford to go to Hawaii to return a pair of cursed earrings. Advice? Question mark, question mark? Really, Beth? So you had these cursed earrings that you could not return. So you send them to me? You see cursed earrings for my new house. Thank you, Beth. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really needed these in my house right now. Woo. Okay, in all seriousness, Beth, I'm not mad at you. I don't like these earrings. I don't want them. I don't like them. I'm not mad at you as a person. I love every single Vee team member. I love you, Beth. It's just, I know you want help, and I get that. No one wants to have cursed earrings, but maybe instead of sending them to me, you could have DM'd me, or, you know, like Snapchatted me or just something. So I'm not too sure what to do with them. I know that Ty said that because I haven't actually opened the package or touched them, that maybe I wouldn't actually be cursed, because I think you might have to actually wear them for the curse to actually happen. I don't really know, honestly. Maybe even just having them in my house is enough. But I do know I have not seen any person behind me in the mirror, and I have not seen any dark shadows yet. I think what I'm gonna do is dispose of them, because I honestly can't go to Hawaii right now to return them. And maybe the only way the curse works is if the person actually buys them, because technically I haven't bought these. They're not really mine. Or are they now that I got them in the mail? I don't know. How does this curse work? Beth, you did not explain well. I'm just kind of frustrated because I wanted to get away from all things evil. And then there's this. I'm gonna try and be very logical and sane about this situation, and I'm gonna say that maybe this person broke a pair of random earrings and wanted to scare me. I really hope that's the case, because I just don't need this in my life right now. I really don't. You guys probably saw the title of this video and just like slapped your forehead, because that's what I did when I received these. These freak me out. They really do, and I'm not gonna actually open the bag or touch them because I don't want anything to happen to me. So I just want to kind of put this out there for anybody. If you're gonna send me something in the mail, a package, a letter, something like that, please avoid sending anything evil or cursed or anything like that, because if that happens, I'm gonna be too scared to even open my P.O. Box stuff, to be honest, and I probably for the next little while won't even bring them into my house, because it's just, after this, I don't want any bad energy in here. But for those of you who do send me some really nice things, thank you. I really appreciate that. I do keep them all, but I won't keep this. Sorry, Beth. I do not want this.